Stop trying so hard that you create resistance. Become the person first. Install the blueprint. Take inspired action instead of desperate action. The goal isn't to force outcomes. The goal is to align with them. What if trying harder is actually what's holding you back? The harder you chase something, the further it seems to move away. Ask me how I know that. Have you ever noticed that the more desperate you are for something, the harder it is to get, whether it's money, relationships, health, building your business? Trying often creates the resistance. My name is Mark, aka Create Lifestyle. I help people, especially those over 50, break out of outdated beliefs so that they can create freedom, abundance, peace of mind, residual income, leave a powerful legacy. If you're under 50, these principles can definitely help you avoid years of unnecessary struggle. I call this escaping the matrix. Today I'm talking about law of attraction, the subconscious mind, your self-image, inspired action, and why trying harder isn't always the answer. Trying implies doubt. Imagine that you asked a friend for $50. Hey friend, can you spare $50? And they said to you, I'll try to give it to you. Do you feel confident? Do you feel like they're going to give it to you? Why? Because uncertainty is built into the word and it carries the vibration of doubt. Think about nature. Nature don't try. Have you ever seen a tree try to grow? Have you ever seen a flower try to bloom? It either does or it kind of doesn't. Have you ever seen geese argue about flying south? In the fall, you see them all flying. Do you see them arguing? You do hear a lot of squealing. I wonder what they're actually saying. But basically, no, you don't. The blueprint, it already exists, and they simply are following the blueprint. Human beings, we often create resistance by fighting our own growth. Now, I talk a lot about this matrix. The matrix, it taught us to work hard, to force it, push harder, chase everything. Popular word today is grind. Hey, what's up? What are you doing today? I'm grinding. That word just never sat right with me. Grinding. Anyway, I prefer flowing. What are you into today? I'm flowing. I like that. Sometimes effort definitely is necessary, but the desperation is the thing that creates the resistance. The matrix, it often teaches us struggle. Freedom teaches us alignment. So the first thing we have to do is install the blueprint. Before you build anything externally, you have to have a blueprint, right? You got to ask yourself, what do I want to become? How do I want to feel? What does it look like? What does all this abundance look like? Then you get clear on that, and then that's the blueprint. And that comes before building. Now, another important factor is the feelings matter. Neville Goddard, who was, I guess he was described as a mystic. He was born in Barbados, but he spent his whole life's work on this whole idea that the feeling is the secret. And this is where we get stuck. We think about success, we think about freedom, but we feel lack and we feel trapped. We think about abundance, but we feel the scarcity. The subconscious mind, it responds to the feeling more than the words. So we have to feel good about what this blueprint is. If we say I'm going to build a business, we have to feel good about that. If we say I'm going to attract my perfect relationship, we got to feel good about that. So that's the kind of the fuel underneath of this that makes it all work. There's inspired action and there's desperate action. And I'm not saying sit on the couch, wait for a miracle, and do nothing. You still got to take some action. But there's a difference between desperate action and inspired action. Inspired action, it feels natural, it feels aligned, it feels like progress. Desperate action, it feels forced. Now, when it comes to residual and passive income, affiliate marketing is a real great example of this because many people enter it chasing the money. They force the content, they force the conversations, they force outcomes, and then they wonder why it feels so different and difficult. The people that succeed, they're usually focused on serving, because that's what it's all about, is helping people solve their problems. They're focused on learning, growing, developing these skills, and then the commissions typically follow. So if I'm making sense, share, subscribe, follow. Stick with me for these types of conversations. Now, the first thing is, the question isn't how do I get it? The question is, who do I need to become? Because your identity is going to create your action, and then your actions are going to create the results, and then the results are going to create the reality. So what are you becoming is a big question here. In closing, trying implies doubt. And that builds up the resistance. Understand that nature follows a blueprint. And this matrix, it wants you to struggle. Freedom teaches alignment. So we install the blueprint first, and then we take inspired action. And then we become the person before expecting the results. So again, if this is resonating with you, share, subscribe, follow. Stick with me about these conversations regarding consciousness, universal laws, law of attraction, self-image, residual income, and primarily escaping this matrix. Understand that awareness is the first step, but then we still need some leverage. And as I always say, the only way out is in, peace, one love, and control your destiny. And just in closing, stop trying to force the outcomes. Install the blueprint, become the person, and the results will catch up. Peace.